Hi and welcome back to the channel. Yep, I'm still doing the January don't watch any movies you've seen before thing. And to be honest with you, it's tough. I really haven't realized until now exactly how much comfort I take from watching movies that I have seen before and that I really love. And that I kind of throw in amongst the viewing that I do during any particular year. And so I'm looking forward to the end of the month where I'm going to binge all the movies that I wanted to see but I couldn't see because of my own self-inflicted rules. But having said that and having whinged a little bit, it's time for me to talk about three kind of low-level science fiction movies that I've seen this week that you might want to check out. Now, none of them is spectacular. None of them is like pew-pew, zoom-zoom kind of science fiction. But all of them are kind of interesting each in their own way. Two of them are American. Actually, no, one's American, one's German, and one is from South Korea. So I'm covering all of the Northern Hemisphere here. And the first one I'm going to talk about is from 2020. It was directed by Alex Houston Fisher and Elizabeth Wilson, and it's called Save Yourselves. Now, this is an alien invasion movie with a twist.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Hello, this is Jack.
And Sue.
We are going offline for 1 whole week,
I would love to do something tangible.
I want to figure out who I am.
but we will be back June 9th. No laptops, no phones, no connecting to anything.
And it's a twist that's kind of different and kind of amusing. And even though it does have two characters featuring in it who are annoying as fuck, it's still a little bit of fun, and it does things somewhat differently than any alien invasion movie that I've seen before. And that was the intention of the filmmakers.
We don't have any skills. The urge to take out my phone is very strong.
I've been wanting to YouTube how to make a trap to catch a rabbit so bad.
Shooting star.
Oh my god! Did that one hit the earth?
Sinatra Money and John Reynolds play Sue and Jack, a Brooklyn couple who work in IT. They're constantly on their screens. They're constantly questioning themselves. They live their life almost by internet listicles. And so, yeah, they're in their 30s and they're kind of working their relationship problems out. Jack has night terrors and wakes up screaming at things on the wall. And Sue is trying to deal with that and trying to figure out who she is and what she wants in life. So they decide to take a detox. A friend of theirs has a cabin up in the country areas of New York. And so they decide to do a digital detox and head up to the cabin, chill out, just live life and have a bit of a vacation. So they get up to the cabin, which is lovely. It's got a canoe, it's got a fireplace, it's got an outdoor fire pit. Really bucolic and lovely, and they start the detox. But the problem is they're pretty useless. I mean, Jack can't chop wood, he can't start an outdoor fire, he can't start an indoor fire, and he's constantly questioning himself. Meanwhile, Sue is making up a kind of book of how she wants her life to be and the questions she's asking herself. And so she's recreating internet listicles in a paper form. So the two of them are doing that. Meanwhile, strange things start happening. There are some lights in the sky, and they don't realize that the world has been invaded by aliens. And the aliens are a little bit different.
What is that? Has this been here the whole time?
The poof? I don't know. Probably.
Oh my god.
But they've got certain powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. So eventually they kind of do decide to take a look at their screens, and they see they've got tons and tons of text messages and voicemails from their friends. They also find out that the aliens live on various kinds of alcohol. So all of the booze bottles have got little holes in them where the aliens have sucked out the booze. And the car petrol tanks are drained. So they find an old diesel-powered Jeep in a shed and head out towards civilization. They never quite get there, but on their way they go on this incredible weird journey of figuring out what things are and kind of ending on a weird Deus Ex Machina epiphany, which came out of left field but is entirely consistent with the rest of the movie. Now, I kind of liked the film. I didn't like the characters, but I liked the film. And eventually the characters grew on me the more they became less annoying, which is a hard balancing act. Having annoying characters in a movie deliberately is a tough ask, but the two actors really do well with it. They play off each other nicely. They've got a nice rapport even when they're annoying each other. And as an alien invasion movie, it does something different, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate people taking a form of a genre and twisting it and tilting it on its head and making it something that we haven't seen before. And Save Yourselves is definitely that. It's not the best movie in the world. It's amusing and wry and very kind of sharply satirical of a certain kind of lifestyle. It is apparently going to be made into a TV series, and hopefully we find out the next chapter of these characters' lives if that occurs. But I like it for its originality. I like it for taking a different approach to things. I like the use of special effects done sparingly and on a fairly low budget. And I like the fact that the characters learn and become better people in their own way while they're going on this weird journey through a kind of post-human Earth. So that one you might want to check out because it is quite good. It's amusing, but stay with it through the annoying start of it and you're going to get rewarded for it. I like a bit of South Korean genre movies and TV series because I think they do it really well. There are things like Train to Busan, of course. There's Hellbound, the TV series that was on Netflix, which I quite enjoyed. And there's this movie from 2020 called Seobok. S-E-O, next word B-O-K. Which stars Gong Yoo, who played the father in Train to Busan, as an ex-intelligence agent who is tasked with kind of looking after the first human clone. And the first human clone is called Seobok, played by, and I'm going to read this, Park Bo-gum, who's quite good in it. He's lived in a laboratory dome for his entire life. He's a clone, but with certain non-human qualities. He doesn't sleep, and when stressed, he has telekinetic abilities, and he's also going to live forever. But the only problem is that every 24 hours he has to have an injection to stop undifferentiated cells from multiplying in his body and giving him cancer. So, yeah, you're going to live forever, but you need a jab every 24 hours, which, for me, may be a deal breaker. He's tasked with looking after this clone and taking it from one location to another. The second location is where the clone's particular qualities, based in his spinal fluid, is going to be extracted and can be used for medical purposes, including curing the incurable brain tumour that Min Ji-hon, the character played by Gong Yoo, has. So the intelligence agent has a brain tumour. It gives him immense painful headaches, and also he goes into seizures at times. But he's tasked with this job because he's motivated to look after the clone, because if he does look after the clone and gets him to this location, he will be the test subject for testing the various kinds of cells that Seobok's body produces, and I'm explaining that incredibly badly. So they head off and go on this kind of odyssey. On the way through this process, they find out that they're being attacked by American mercenaries who have some incredibly powerful weaponry, but the plus side is Seobok has telekinetic abilities, and that kind of helps them out a little bit. It's got little feels of Akira about it, but it doesn't go anywhere near as crazy as Akira does. And it becomes this meditation about mortality and about morality and about what it is to be human. And, of course, it delves into the area of billionaires are always assholes. And that's a constant through a whole bunch of different fiction. And, of course, it's a constant in real life. There's no billionaire who is psychologically anywhere near a baseline normal human being. And this movie demonstrates that very clearly, because there is a billionaire who's funding all of this, who's in a wheelchair and is quite old, and who definitely wants to get him some of those sweet blood cells and spinal fluid cells from Sherlock. So they go on this journey. They kind of build a buddy rapport almost, or a mentor-student rapport between Sherlock and the intelligence agent. But it's not the best movie. I mean, there's some great special effects, and there are a few moments of really cool special effects in there, which is what you're kind of waiting for. But the meditation on mortality and immortality and the morality of creating clones and other things like that is repeated a little bit, which is kind of lowers the quality of the movie. It does have that sentimentality and emotional intensity we get from a lot of Korean dramas of various kinds. But I think it's a missed opportunity. I know it was finished before COVID hit and was not successful, mostly because of COVID closing cinemas in various markets it was using. But this one's kind of like middle grade for me. I've seen so much like this before. I like the actors. The acting is really great. The two actors in particular are really on point. Some of the locations are very beautiful as well, and there are a couple of moments of unexpected beauty in this movie where Sherlock unveils and uses his powers. A little bit of it can be a little bit matrixy at times, but there are some quiet moments when he uses his powers which are incredibly beautiful, and the special effects are used incredibly well in ways that you wouldn't see perhaps in an American film or a European film. And I really like that. I like that kind of grace note thing they have in there at various times. But again, it's kind of mid-range and it's not as successful as I wanted it to be, while I still like the characters. Now, the third movie is the recommend from me. It's German. It's got subtitles in English. It stars an English actor, Dan Stevens, and it's called I'm Your Man. And this one goes into the philosophical implications of a change of technology much better than Sherlock does. In this one, there's a woman called Alma, played by Maren Eggert, who is an archaeologist who, in order to get funding for some projects she has for her and her team to study some cuneiform tablets, she agrees to be a test subject for a new kind of robot technology. Humanoid robot, unable to be differentiated from human beings in normal course of things, who is designed to make her happy.
Hallo Alma, ich bin Tom.
Die testen mich, scannen mein Gehirn, Multiple Choice ohne Ende. Und was kommt dann dabei raus?
Deine Augen sind wie zwei Bergseen, in denen ich versinken möchte.
Muss zugeben, Sie haben wirklich Geschmack. Hier ist dein Zimmer.
Guten Morgen, Alma. Ich habe Ordnung geschaffen.
Now, she's single. She was in a relationship with a man who's now remarried and they're about to have a child. She has a father who is dropping into dementia, for whom she's primary carer. And so her life's quite complex. And into it comes Tom, this humanoid robot played by Dan Stevens, who's designed to make her happy. And she's agreed to spend time with Tom in order to evaluate the ethics and the effectiveness of this kind of technology. And it's a good film. I really enjoyed it a lot. Dan Stevens, who I like as an actor, he's been in a number of things. He was in the really bad version of Blithe Spirit that I watched last year. But he was also the gay Russian singer in the Eurovision movie with Will Ferrell, and he was quite good in that. He's been good in a number of things. And in this one, he is particularly good. He's speaking his second language, which is German, because Dan Stevens is fluent in German. And they do mention in the movie that he has an English accent, mostly because Alma likes her men slightly exotic, but not too exotic, and so they gave him a slight English accent, which is a good way of covering for the actor's natural accent. So they travel around Berlin and Denmark ultimately, and we learn more about Alma and more about her life, while this robot and the algorithm is constantly evolving to better make her happy. And so we get into what is love, we get into what it is to be human, we get into a whole bunch of philosophical implications there. And the movie doesn't play as a rom-com. It's not ultimately totally romantic. Alma is pretty fucked up, to be honest, at the start of the film. The robot Tom gives her some information which puts into question a lot of the things in her career, and the project she's working on becomes imperiled. And so she's got a whole bunch of complex feelings. Tom is continually becoming more attractive to her as the algorithm grows, but she is a fully fledged adult woman. She's had some hard knocks in her life. She's got some obligations and some responsibilities, and she ultimately comes to a decision about whether having robots that make people happy. And she's not the only person who's on this project. There are a few other people who are testing these new technologies out for the company that runs it. But she comes to an incredibly nuanced and mature decision about it when she does her final report on the robot. And it ends on another grace note, and I'm talking about grace notes a bit on this video. But I like those touching grace notes that really don't land with the pat satisfaction that maybe an American or an English film would, but give us something to think about and give us just enough to chew on so we can think about it in terms of our own lives and in terms of our own histories. And it's a nicely nuanced film. I really like it a lot. It was directed by Maria Schrader, a German director, and having it come from that female point of view is so good. It's not the kind of movie a man would make, and the plot and the progression of it and the heart of the character of Alma is probably not one that a man would see in the same way that this movie does. I think it's a real hidden gem of science fiction. I think it asks important questions about evolving technologies, and it asks questions about who we are and who we want to be. That's at the guts of science fiction for me. It's the impact of a breakthrough technology or event on human beings. And this one really landed for me. I liked the film a lot. I saw it on a download, but I think I want to get a copy of it on physical media as well, because I think that it's a movie that we should be talking about more than we are. There's some real science fiction out there, and this kind of movie is exactly that, and I really enjoyed it. If you're the sort of person that likes intelligent, thoughtful science fiction, you're going to like it. So that's it for this time around. Next video I'm doing is on the 26th of January my time, which is Australia Day / Invasion Day, which is a very conflicted public holiday in this part of the world. And so I'm going to be doing 3 movies I haven't seen before that have Indigenous Australian themes, out of respect for the people who are the original owners of this land. And I really want to end the January movies I haven't watched before with some really intense and good cinema. So I'm wading through what I've got and just finding the best ones I possibly can for those last 2 or 3 videos. And by the way, the screen's not really broken. It's just a trick on a YouTube channel. But so thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, subscribing, leaving a comment and hitting the notification bell. You can also support the channel at patreon.com/paleocinema, and I'd like it if you did. In the meantime, look after yourselves. Things are still crazy out there in all different kinds of ways. Watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Watch some movies that aren't the best movies in the world, but leave you thinking about them afterwards. And I'll catch you next time.